Yo, 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 check it out. We here, Go Defenders, back in the building. Evan Moore, Jeffrey Beckham, Mario Gage. We got a special guest, you know what I'm saying? Vic Spencer. I'm your man, Knowledge Born. We've been gone for a little minute.
Yeah.
But we back, new scenery,
Mm-hmm.
new
Welcome to the
set.
new home.
You know what I'm
Hey.
saying? It's about to be 2020, so we got a new, you know what I'm saying? We got to switch it up on people.
Switch it up for the new decade.
The new mindset, you know, a new atmosphere, and I think it's gonna be good. It's good vibes in here as we have seen thus far. You feel me? We're gonna talk today about something that's been kind of an epidemic going on around the city and nationwide with the shorties, but I think it all begins, I think, with acknowledging the fact that we lost a legend, lost one of our, soldiers here in the crib. Juice World passed away,
Yeah.
right? And not knowing all the specifics of it, we do know that he was on a jet. He was coming in from a performance. He had several of his homies with him. We also know that the feds kind of raided said jet, and in the process of that, something goes wrong. He has a medical emergency, seizures, so on and so forth. He gets to the hospital, passes away. You know, as I said, not knowing all the details, what has been said, if you look at all the kind of gossip rags, is that he popped several prescription pills during the process of getting raided, and that was the reason that he passed away. So I think, I think first, and thinking about, why was he even put in that situation in the first place? Is a question we need to ask. But then secondly, in thinking about how the younger generation, particularly creatives, the artists, me thinking specifically about rap and hip hop, how we've moved to a space where, it's much cooler to be the dealee than to be the dealer. I think that's something that I wanted to discuss today. And then thinking about Vic, besides being a phenomenal MC, works with youth, right? And that's something that you're not shy about at all. You put on your social media and you show, your mentees and the people that you work with and the youth that you're around every day. I think you have kind of an interesting perspective on kind of the youth and what they're doing these days and how that kind of contrasts to how we came up, per se, right?
Yeah.
And so, I kind of wanted to pose that to the group, and I kind of wanted to set the tone for the discussion in terms of that.
Okay.
With that, you know what I mean, and laying that on the table. But I think we could start with Juice, and I don't know if you guys have any necessarily history with him personally, or whether you had a personal connection to his music. But what do you guys think about the Juice World situation and how that all went down?
Yeah, well, first, he was a mentee of the 100 Black Men of Chicago. So I'm a member of the 100. It's a mentoring organization.
That's crazy.
Been around in Chicago since 1994. And we have 4 sites. One is in the South Suburbs.
He's from Homewood, right?
He was from Homewood, went to Homewood Flossmoor. And he was a 4-year mentee of that site.
That's crazy.
So coming up, I would speak at that site, be there often, talking about, we talk about everything from sports to leadership to girls, right? And he was a good kid. As I knew him as a kid, he was a good kid. It shone and it showed up again in his work, though. A month before this happened, he was here with a spot with McDonald's. McDonald's was working through him to identify local charities to give money to. And he gave the 100 a large sum of money through his partnership with McDonald's. But not only that, he brought all the kids from all of our sites to a helicopter hangar where he did a private concert, food for the kids. And then not just was on stage, he came down, he spoke, he talked to all the mentors. And one of the mentors that mentored him, Fred Carter, who he was really close to, passed that same week. And I remember seeing on his Instagram, he put something like, "I lost my father today." And so while we see all of what's happening there's always more context to it too. You know, I assume, and I'm gonna make this assumption because I know that most of our mentees have been. He was grieving from that loss. That was the Monday of the same week. So you know, there's the side that people see, the things they read in the news, the tabloids, whatever, and then there's the other side to the human part of what he did to retire his mom, of what he did in the neighborhood that may never come out unless we have platforms like this to share. So I know that, like, you know, whatever to your point has been said, I know that there was a young man that cared deeply for Chicago, cared deeply for young people in Chicago, was a friend, was a brother to so many, was a son, and you know, we lost something. We lost a great thing that day, and we can't replace that.
Yeah. No, my homie Jew had posted on Twitter. Jew has been on the show. He was on the last episode. He had posted on Twitter about Juice being the most streamed artist from Chicago. And I was like, I never even thought about it in those terms of like, you know, in terms of this new generation.
Yeah.
He kind of, you know, and I felt the same thing when Triple X passed. When people was like, oh, he's like Pac. And I was like, how could, you know, me being an old head and a different type of hip hop, you know, participant and from a different generation, I was like, how could you compare this cat to Pac?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you think about impact and the amount of people one is able to reach, particularly through social media, and just like the instantaneous connection that an artist can have with an audience, I was like, damn, like he is the most streamed artist. Like he got a Billboard award this year, and you know, you thinking about that, like those are, you know, we're talking sales, we're talking like streams, we're talking like trending topics. They changed the metrics on how they measure Billboard, right? And so I was like, yo, like we have an icon here, who, you know, passes in this manner, but now we got to think about like how many people did he influence? Because I heard that he had told Future like, yo, I was 13 and I heard about Lean, I heard about Perks, I heard about Zans, and this is what you were doing, and this is what set the tone for how I was going to create my career. And so I'm thinking like, if this is somebody with a Pac influence, you know, how is that influencing our youth? Right. And what they're doing and what they see is like, you know, I've been participating in hip hop like for years, and Vic's been in studios, and you know, you've been doing the same thing, right? But we've been mainly, let's keep it 100, we've been mainly weed and alcohol type vibes. So at what point did we get to where, you know, my engineer is telling me like he does sessions with said rappers that's from the crib, and it's just all it is double cups and soda, and that's all they have to provide, you know. And how is that playing a part in what we're dealing with in Chicago, whether it be, you know, the violence, whether it be, you know, some of the things that we're seeing in terms of the music that's created, and just lifespans being cut short, right? So, you know, I'd love to get Vic in particular, I'd love to get your opinion on that, because you're like on the front line daily, seeing how youth are moving, and I'd love to see, you know, your opinion on that.
When you think about like the drug itself, like even back then, like 3-6 Mafia and a lot of older guys was doing it, but it wasn't like on the forefront of like artists to per se, like, you know, pursue. That wasn't the thing, you know what I'm saying? It was more about the art, it was more about that. And when you think about the young people doing that now, it's, man, it's like a change of shift. You know what I'm saying? It's like a real change of shift. Like, we looking at it now, like, nah, this is not, and that's where we're at right now. Like, this is not what's going on. It's not what's cool, because I listened to Screw and Chop in college all day. Never took a sip of them. Never. You know what I mean? So it's like, where that silver lining, where is that? You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, you know, these kids, they come up with, like, they see that stuff and it really works. Like, I don't know, the companies take advantage,
Mm.
and you know they young and fresh. It's like, you know, it's a never ending game. Like my homie say, it's a game. You know, they gonna find a way to play it, and some win, some lose. Some win and then, you know, lose in the win.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Per se Juice WRLD, rest in peace. You know, and it's a situation like you gotta observe. Like, I don't know. If we are more observe it more than the kids will.
Right.
They looking at it like, dang, we lost somebody, but they still doing it right
it's
now.
what we do.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? This is what, you know, and it's normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm working with the kids that's like, I went to a alternative school party, prep rally week, all of that crazy, and you know, one of the kids got shot. You know, that's on the basketball team, couldn't attend, so forth, so on. I didn't find out till I got there, but I see kids in there with shades. It's women, you know, this kid's sitting down with shades on. Yeah, man, I hit pop one of them perks, man. For like, it's, you know, and it's cool. Then afterwards, he throw it up. Like, it's cool. Like, that's cool to do. You know what I'm saying? And like, as a person that's seen the opposite at a young age, at their age,
right?
How do I work where they at? That's my motto anyway. How do I work with them where they at? Right? You know what I'm saying? Without trying to be the old fart, nigga. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I'm thinking about that though. Well, you a cool cat though.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It ain't like
work,
you.
It only work to you will see it and you gotta observe it. Like for me, I see it and I observe it instead of reacting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, his kids, you know, this is what they see every day. This is a fast, instant gratification type of ordeal here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was different from me growing up. You know what I'm saying? But I understand it. I understand it from a, you know, wanting to be down with a crew or, you know, wanting to be what it feels like or whatever. But like I say, I wasn't intrigued. You know what I'm saying? I was in tune with the music.
I got a question for you because you're working with them though,
right.
and you're obviously reaching them, right?
Yeah.
How are you doing it? I think because like for our listeners out there, we got a lot of people that follow us that are our mentors or want to get involved, and they just don't know where to start. How are you able to do it?
I was speaking on it, working with them where they at.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Once you realize that you got to work with them where they at, you start wondering, you start observing, you start trying to feel like, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? But it only takes stuff like this to happen, like Juice WRLD. It only takes that to. But then, is it enough?
I was gonna ask.
You know what I'm saying? It's like an injection. You know what I'm saying? It only lasts
so long.
You know what I'm saying? They'll mourn about it, talk about it for a day.
Yeah.
And what do you
on social media for a week, and then it's it. On to the next one.
And it's something that you put in your music though, like in thinking about like the vibe of what Juice WRLD was out there. Like I remember, like, you know, full disclosure, me and Vic have collaborated, made music for years, right? But I remember one of the things you always used to talk about in your raps and your lyrics and things like that was talking about group homes and being a product of that system, and that being kind of your reasoning for going back in there.
Absolutely.
And working with youth. And so, you know what I'm saying, I think it's, you know, and piggybacking off what Jeff is saying, it's like, yo, like, you have real experience, and the reason why you're called to work with youth is because you see yourself in said youth.
Right.
And so that's why I was like, yo, like, what's up? Because I was like, you know, generationally, like, people don't know this either. Like, Vic has always put me on new artists. You know what I'm saying? Forever. I'm talking about for, you know, when people are, how did you learn about Vic Mensa and Save Money and all them guys? Like, he was up on them guys when they was 14, 15. Because he was working with youth programs and he was around high schools and he was around elementary schools, and he was in those spaces where he was able to kind of receive talent before it was incubated or put into a space where it could be professional, right? So he would always come to me and be like, yo, so-and-so is popping, so-and-so is on the way up. And I'll be like, yo, like, Vic always put me in those positions to kind of hear and know about what was next. And so I think just even thinking about what's going on right now, that's why I was like, it's very important in thinking about, like,
this newer generation, I feel like he's been on the front lines and he's seen the change occur. And I'm like, well, why is it that it's cool now to be on opioids? Like, why is that the vibe in which we're more...
To add to that, let me add to that for you. Say something. Like, I know what you mean. Why, what can we do?
Yeah.
I think that we can't do nothing, but what we can do is expose them. You know what I'm saying? Put them on to different stuff. You know what I'm saying? Put them on to something. And I come from, I've been doing the line of advocacy work at one job for 11 years, been doing it for 20 plus almost. And taking them out and getting them tired works.
It works.
It works. Big man, I'm tired, man. I'm going in the crib. Man. You won. Because they could have been doing something else.
You're right.
They could have been with somebody else doing something else. You know what I'm saying? Guilty by association. So, they exposed to that quick.
Yeah.
And it's instant gratification because it's like something can happen. I can get fast money.
It
you're
works.
going against that. So if you take a kid to Dave and Buster's,
yeah.
Or you take him to go hoop, he like to hoop, but he ain't been in the gym all week.
Right.
He gonna get tired.
Yeah.
You gonna get him some food, he gonna get tired.
Yeah.
And you in your mind like, hey, well maybe this might work.
Yeah.
If I do this more often, I call him, see what's good with him. Hey. Something can pull up at the school.
Yeah.
Come up there fresh or something. You know what I'm saying? Because they looking at the guys that's on the block, fresh sale, and they see somebody that's not on the block, fresh sale. Well, how you doing?
How you doing it? Yeah.
Vic got it, but I ain't what they doing out there. What they know.
Yeah.
Vic got it. Look, he got the man. I ain't never seen those before.
Right.
So,
you fresh. You got the heat check. Your heat check.
Right. Yeah. I saw him walk in with the heat on.
You might want to show them sneaks, bro.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
I see you.
I said them don't come out the box usually.
I be wearing mine. I love one.
Hey, I'm with you. Shoes are meant to be worn.
As an MC, that's something that Vic has always done. And I think that's always why he's been able to connect with the youth is because I was like,
I like being fresh, but to be able to walk up in the school and be like this, it works.
It does. It does.
Because it's like he could be a school official, but he's not. But look at him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I ain't doing it for that. But it's like it feel like it is. Like I could. You like, man, shit. I'm stepping in here with some Gucci flops and all that stuff they really into.
It's hip hop though. You gotta.
I'm definitely gonna stay with. I'm definitely gonna come in with the credibility, with the drip. You know what I'm saying? Gonna come in with the drip. You know what I'm saying? Try to get on their level.
Got to.
But that's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
You got to work with them where they
level.
at. So that's where it go. It's full circle. It brings it back to how you supposed to connect. Help me find a way to connect. You know what I'm saying? We like Naledge was saying. You know, we all got a talent. Right? You know what I'm saying? We instill that one thing into a youngin', he ain't gonna have time to do a Percocet.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to address what you were about to ask about why it's so cool now for people to be on opioids and why it's so prominent. Where, like to your point, back in the day, 3-6 Mafia were talking about a lot of the same stuff, but people weren't actually doing it. And one thing I've been thinking about is the fact that we have social media now. Yeah. And so everything's always all up in our face nowadays. Back in the day, your favorite celebrity, your favorite rapper or whatever, you saw them on TV and the magazines and stuff, maybe on the internet, but you didn't see them like on social media. And you get, the process, you get that connection with them, so you're able to see what they're doing at 3 a.m. because all they have to do is go live on the gram and you see what they're doing. You're like, oh, I could be doing that too. Versus 15 years ago, you didn't know what they were doing at 3 a.m. So there used to be kind of that wall, but now everything is so intertwined.
You're right. I mean, I also to your point, like 3-6 talked about certain things in their music, but like I remember
all day.
I remember like kind of being a shorty and rapping their lyrics, and not really knowing what they were talking about.
Got them rainbow colors in my
yo,
cup.
this
You
is
didn't,
fine.
you didn't even want to go Google it.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't have
Yeah.
We didn't have Google. It was just kind of like
UGK, right?
I was
You
talking
Yeah,
to somebody
UGK.
about like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. I was talking to somebody about how like when I was like maybe in 7th, 8th grade, I was listening to Biggie records and shit, and I would like memorize the lyrics. I wouldn't know what Biggie was talking about. Not for real. You know what I'm saying? He was talking about having multiple women, shooting niggas, fucking selling drugs. But I just knew it sounded dope.
Right.
That's all I knew. I didn't really know what it was. Even the brands, I didn't, I think today, I think it speaks to that as well. It's like, yo, shorties, now they're asking for, Louis Vuitton jeans and fucking, they're asking for Gucci belts and things and Balmain.
That
and
you were not asking for.
Balenciagas
Look,
and-
expensive for us was Tommy and Nautica, bro, right?
Right.
Like, you had a Tommy jacket, you was good. But now, I mean, honestly, my nephew's like 14, and I said, yo, what you want, man, for Christmas? He said, yo, now, Uncle, can I get a Armani, a Gucci watch? I said,
What?
exactly. I was like,
Like, what you
dog, like I just bought him some earbuds that he lost after a week. I'm not getting you a watch that's more expensive than no.
This-
But
Advanced now.
yeah.
To that point though, right? So I'm in the studio. I was in the studio last week. We were having this conversation because I had recently just to bring it into focus. A few of us, I think we all went to the Timbuktu thing. Right?
Yeah, we were all there.
Yeah,
We were all there.
Timbuktu. Rest in peace to Timbuktu.
Yeah, rest in peace.
But I was at the House of Blues and I ran into Mickey Halstead and I was like talking to him and he was just like, man, I'm just in a different place right now, a different vibe because of kind of what's going down with Juice.
Yeah.
And we kind of frequent the same studio space in a certain way. And so I was talking to we were having a conversation. One of the engineers that was there was talking about how like, yo, like it's a real thing. Like, yo, these kids. He was showing me some shit on Instagram where he was talking about like, yo, have you heard about exotic pop? I was like, exotic pop? What the fuck is exotic pop? You know what I'm saying? It's a whole website. There's a kid on Instagram who's making like almost $1 million a year on selling like cream sodas and like exotic ginger ale and shit like that. And this is basically for the purpose of mixing with codeine. And the way it looks on Instagram. So to your point, we're talking about like Instagram Live and like they were saying like, yo, like that's part of the reason why they're fucking with these pops is because of the color. And when you pour it and it's on Instagram,
It's
it
grammable.
looks cool.
Yes,
And
do it for
like,
the gram.
that's the whole vibe. And so, I think like, well, what was cool for us was what, like having swishes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, what was cool for us
visors.
was like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Maybe having some mics.
Maybe.
Maybe having some mics, maybe looking fresh, maybe having some waves, maybe cutting a Nike check in your
That's a
fade.
throwback Nike check.
Right, but like, and that was,
Having a
but that was real.
Having a
in the 90s.
Two-way
In
later.
the 90s, that was real. A StarTAC,
StarTAC.
Motorola.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now,
Chirp me.
how does it become what's cool is like, yo, I need a double cup.
But it seemed like those trends that we was doing, like they were nostalgic. Like we it was there, then that is gone, and now we gotta get something else.
Right.
It's some
Yeah.
other shit right here. Like
Yeah.
this is, you know what I'm saying?
But is this mental health though? Because I'm like,
It-
yo,
I
these
was
are
gonna say.
depressants that
I
these
mean,
motherfuckers
I probably
are.
think it has something to do with how rap and hip hop is perceived, because substance abuse isn't exclusive to rap music. I mean, rock, country, and other genres. It's so many people who died at a young age, and for me, it's kind of looking at it from someone who's a fan of music, and also from a media standpoint, and how Juice has been written about since, and how some folks are kind of focusing on.
Did you ever meet him?
No,
At
I
any
never met
point?
him.
Okay.
No. So it's kind of, for me, it's kind of like why people are. I feel like some folks are kind of focusing on like the arrest instead of the systemic issues of why kids are using this stuff these days. Like we came up like what the most that we did growing up was herb mostly, but not all this like other stuff. So I'm just like, is it a way for kids how they're dealing with like systemic issues and things they have going on at home? I mean, you two are in the trenches. So yeah.
I was gonna say, E, to your point, even if you listen, I listen to a lot of Juice's music because my nephew liked him, and I like to know what you listening to. And I was like, man, he's going through something. Like if you listen to his music, all of his music, and I know that we use music to tell stories, right? Like when I rap way back, that's what I did. It was to tell stories of what I was dealing with. But I heard a lot of pain in his music.
Yeah.
And I always thought, I said, well, this is his outlet. Similar to like how I paint. That's my outlet, right?
Yeah.
I get it. I also heard that there was a different depth to some of his music too, where I was like, I hope he's talking to people. I hope he's got people around him that are helping him. And to your point, that's not mutually exclusive to rap. That's the K-pop star that killed herself a couple weeks ago, posted the cryptic message.
Wow.
I mean, when you talk about in our community and you grow up and all you see in most neighborhoods in the black and brown communities is blight and depressive viewpoints and, you know, bulletproof glass when you're trying to order chicken. You got to go to get somebody to get a key to get, you know, damn deodorant out the, I mean, everywhere you look, there are things that build barriers and cells in your brain around you. And so for our young people, one of the ways they found to deal with that is drugs. And that's historic. That's Marvin Gaye. That's, you know, Stevie Wonder. When you think about like people using pharmaceutical extractions to free their mind, like that's been the case.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's why I wanted to bring that up, because I feel like when this stuff happens, they make it seem like it's exclusive to rappers or hip hop artists.
And it's
they're
colored.
Basically,
It's
basically
very,
saying
very
black
much
people. They're basically trying to say
color.
black
Yeah,
people.
it's a color on it. Yeah.
Urban.
Yeah.
You know, that's the word.
Oh,
that they
yeah.
use.
When I see on the story,
There's a
I'm
lot
just
of
like,
barriers, man. Definitely a lot of barriers that could hinder an opportunity that could, you know, save a child, like, or you know, just like putting the kid on, man. That's so important, man.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
You never know if a kid like to kick ass on get world star, knocking people out in school.
Yeah.
Take his ass to
Taylor Park.
Boxing gym.
Get him in a boxing class.
get his ass in there and you get some money. Get some real money, man. I'm trying to get these streams on YouTube up, man. Go watch my shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, that's the type of, you know, get them involved in that. You know what I mean? I think that's like if we see what it is that they're doing and slap a positive on it because it is a contrast.
Yeah.
It's effective. I think it's effective.
Yeah. It's so much talent, man, that we miss. We see, not us, but the world will look at it as something negative. And it unearths in black, like we have to always be innovative and crafty in how we do things. Think about the mass amount of fashion talent that's coming out of Chicago right now. Like brothers in the city just killing the game, and that's from the streets. This is stuff we've been doing. It's stuff we were sewing patches on our clothes years ago. Like you couldn't buy the fresh stuff. Sometimes you had to make it. I remember I had homies painting on jean jackets way back, just doing it for the love. Now you see big brands, major, whether it's Zara, H&M, same jackets, Gucci, whole lines of Gucci shoes that they're wearing on purpose to make them look dirty, right? Stuff that they distressed, stuff that they stole directly from the hood. And so one of the things, I appreciate what you're doing, Vic, about the exposure, because I think what you're showing kids is the way, look, you can do this. And there's also a way where you can make a living doing this.
Yeah.
You don't have to be on the block. And if you do this right, you're going to make way more than being on the block without the risk.
And it's going to come with more opportunity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you're doing just that, it's just that.
Yep.
And then it only leads to death or jail. You know what I'm saying? The domino effect is way, you know, you can learn something from somebody, then another person is a CEO that you don't know. You could conduct some real shit. You know what I'm saying? Just from doing one thing.
Yeah.
One thing.
I remember, I think I came across you on Twitter and you took some kids to a Blackhawks game.
I'm a
big hockey fan. I write about hockey, and I remember seeing that. Like, man, that's right
It
there.
was my first time. It was their first time, and we in the skybox.
Hey.
And it was great.
And I mean, we all got on Air Maxes. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, this is what it's about. You know what I'm saying? For me to be able to have the opportunity to do that, like this is what it's about. Like we don't never get this opportunity. You're gonna be able to tell this to your kids. You're gonna be able to tell
Pass
your
that
homies.
on.
Somebody gonna be talking about it. You're gonna be like, man, well, I was in the skybox. You can't tell me nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's how you're supposed to experience.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you go and experience, it's the high. Like even when you involved with a woman, like if you trying to surprise her, you gonna go to the max.
That's
Go
right.
all out.
That's right.
The same thing.
That's
It's
right.
The same
All the
thing.
stops.
It's funny you say that because I remember when I back maybe like 5 years ago, I was working with the band program, and when one of the main field trips we used to do was to see the Chicago Fire. You know what I'm saying? It was a whole different experience.
Different way.
To go to a professional soccer game and and I had never been to that stadium.
I never knew that stadium existed.
Never been to that game, and you know I ended up becoming like kind of a veteran of that spot. We was there, like I went to maybe like 10 games that year. But I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like people out here are experiencing things and doing things that you know can put you in a different mindset to where you believe that like, you know, everything around me isn't necessarily all that there is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I think that was the one thing that I used to encounter. I mean, I've always done youth advocacy work and shit like that, but that particular space, I was in the schools. And being in the schools, I was able to see like, yo, this kid really only knows 79.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
That's it.
And not only does he not only just only know 79, he only knows Halstead to Damon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. That's his life.
Yeah.
How do
You
you,
know what I'm saying?
dispose that, like when you're in school? Because honestly, we've talked about in previous podcast episodes how households grew up in two-parent households, and we traveled and did all this stuff. And it's like I feel like it's like one comment was like, "Hey, you know, you were saying I have some friends who haven't been past downtown, and we encounter this, and now we bridge that gap to tell kids like, hey, there's more than 79th. There's Oak Street. There's Soho House.
Like,
there's
kids that want to do it,
And it's
but they
it's
don't
like
have-
$3
they don't-
away.
It's
It's
kids
$3
that want to do
away.
it, but they don't have the vehicle to get them there. Not like not actually, but mentally.
Mentally.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
To your
Yeah.
point, I went to an I took the same group of kids to a Cubs game. And I'm talking about they literally were like, we don't know what to do. Like, it's too many white people here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been
It's
around
like
this.
babies, man. When they come in here, they quiet, don't know. Give them 15 minutes.
Yeah, running.
They
I
gonna
was
relax.
like,
Oh!
Warm up.
I was like, yo, you
it's-
got tickets. I was like, yo, you got tickets. You go to your seat, you get your snacks, you do it. They're like, yo, we ain't never seen this many white folks.
It's free. Like,
We went to the Sox Stadium.
For real?
And Sox Stadium, they give you like this fake money and then you
Right.
get change, real money.
Yeah.
They found that the static. They were blown away about that. Well, I'm just gonna buy me some popcorn so I can pocket the rest of the cash. Like, it's a mama do.
Yeah, exactly. Look, man,
This is for the this is how you get it for the gram.
Right.
You in the skybox, you
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it trickles down to leadership too, because
Yes,
some
exactly.
of these
That's
guys
what I was gonna
are
say.
real leaders.
That's right.
Like they in the classroom cracking jokes. Of course they disrupting class, but I'm looking at him as a leader.
That's
Because
right.
If he can do that, and you put him in a place where he can do that,
Yeah, influencer, yeah.
And you
He's
see
an
it, Vic. You
influencer.
see it.
He's an
Think about the
influencer.
ones that like get that opportunity, man, and then you now expose them to something they could not see before, but now their eyes, like their focal point, you see it's like a light bulb going off in their head, in their brain. Awake. So I got down here to the skybox. I'm here for free. I'm eating free food. Wait, I saw such and such post this on the gram. He's probably sponsored. So while we spending our money on the things they posting on the gram trying to buy the Gucci belts, they're getting paid, sent the product for free to post. I've seen kids figure it out. It's life changing. They like, wait, I'm gonna make my own belts. I'm gonna make my own thing. And I'm like, yes, y'all are starting to understand where the opportunity is. Y'all seeing it, and it just takes that light bulb going off, that one switch.
That aha moment.
And and the only way to find that is to work where it is.
Yep.
You're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. Even if you just get a little bit of it, you're gonna find it. If you just drill on that little, it's gonna get bigger, it's gonna get, and you can't get everybody like that, but it works to a degree.
But do you think the shorties understand the ramifications of like codeine, the ramifications of Xanax,
Juice
the
didn't.
ramifications of Percocet.
no.
Like to and not to go back to this, what isn't necessarily confirmed,
Right.
but to think that you would like see feds rushing your jet and pop like 7 of them
Right.
things and think you gonna live.
So that's the
You know
that's
what
the
I mean?
part.
Found out in the system we
Prescription
live, so it's
pills.
like,
When I was
yeah.
a shorty, like I don't know about y'all, but like when I was a shorty, like that.
You ain't had a
That's in the medicine.
Mama had to
cabinet. We
give
don't
you that,
touch them
right?
shits.
Like mama had to be like, "This is your Tylenol. You don't touch the
like, if
Tylenol
you ain't
without
sick,
asking
you
me."
don't fuck with that,
Bruh, and that's the saddest part about it. That for Juice and for me is that to me, that's why I keep telling people the media, they always try to make us older, more criminalized. He was still a kid, yo. He was a young man.
21,
He
just
just
turned
turned
21.
21.
so
And people
scary.
don't get it that in his brain, from what if I'm him and I'm that young guy and I don't know better. I see these feds coming. I know I got these pills.
Let me just pop them.
Let me just pop 'em. I seen that in the movies, right? I seen that in the TV show. That was in Deadly Class where the white boy takes all of the X because he sees the cops coming. He pops them all. And how he's on this great trip. And the movie makes it look like he's having all this fun, right? And I said that's the saddest part about it because even Juice didn't know that if I take these, the outcomes and the effect can be more tragic. And I think that to me is like the saddest part of all this because in my brain, what I've seen from him was that light that we talk about, that light had gone off for him. He saw the ability of what he was going to be able to do from fashion and clothing, from pulling his people in, he took Mike P across the world with him. Shout out to my little bro.
Yeah, Mike
Now,
P.
I watched
tweeted him
Mike P
about that.
change. I literally went from when I met Mike P, he was probably like 20, spending his first party. He spun an event for me for my job. I looked up a year later, he on WCIU. Months after that, he's leaving with Juice to tour the world. This man's posting from Germany. Juice and his relationship with his brother did that. He took his family with him. That light went off.
I've seen that too. Like the journey, he kind of documented that whole
Yep.
thing. And I don't have any ties to Juice, but like Mike P was my only real window into what they were up to and
Yeah.
what they were doing. And I called him. I'm sure you probably reached out to him too.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, yo, like to see the narrative of that spin was just crazy to me because I was like, yo, like all that I knew was that these were brothers that was getting to see like parts of the universe they never would see.
Right.
They were getting to, be entrepreneurs. They were getting to, we talk about clout, but they were leveraging shit in the city. They were about to leverage even more.
Yeah.
In terms of like, hey, we're employing. That's one of those things that I talked to Andrew Barber about. Is like, Fake Short Drive. Shout out to him. Is like, yo, the idea that an artist like Juice WRLD is able to employ like 30 to 40 people,
Right.
and take them out of the city and show them things, and then they're able to now pass that down to their shorties. We're getting to the space in Chicago hip hop where I'm seeing now guys like Chance have shorties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And wives. And I'm like, yo, I mentored you. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, guys I mentored are now like growing into these spaces. And so, it's one of those ill things where with this space, I'm like, yo, you didn't see all this going on around you and think something about it. You know what I mean? Just because, like, I'm like, yo, I know you facing stardom, you facing tour dates, you're getting money, but, like, you didn't think something was wrong with this idea that, like, we got double cups every day. We got 70 pounds on the plane. Like, what's going on? like, what's going on?
Yeah.
That was normal. You know what I mean? And it's funny because my normal in that space was like, and I had to check myself on this, was like, yo, niggas will smoke blunts from sun up to sundown. Motherfuckers will hand you, and people don't see that side of it. Like, yo, like for real, I was on a fucking Vixar. I was on a 30-city tour before, right? I've been on a few 30-city tours, but I'm saying like, day one, they give you the Ace of Spades. You're like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Day 31, you like, damn, like, we've been drinking Ace of Spades for like 3 months, bro.
Like this shit don't even mean nothing, bro. Like, and so we taking whole bottles. Like you got a bottle, you got a bottle, you got a bottle, you got a bottle. At what point are we alcoholics?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What point are we not celebrating no more? You know what I'm saying? So I get back home, I'm around my regular homies from high school. They like, what you want to do? We gonna pop 3 bottles of Ace of Spades or Nectar Imperial or whatever the fuck. And they like, 3?
Nah.
Like, why 3? You know what I'm saying? I got shit to do.
We gotta go to work
I'm
tomorrow.
popping 3 bottles of Ace of Spades,
Right.
and then we doing shots, and then we smoking a blunt,
Oh,
and then we doing
Jesus.
some more. Why? Because I got the time. I got the time, and it's free, and the sparkler's gonna come out, and we gonna be good. And I'm just saying, I can only imagine what that is now. When it's like, whoa, bring the heroin out, my nigga.
Right.
Bring the codeine out, my nigga. Like, you know, they not just doing 1 cup of that shit. They got, 2 liters. And they
Euphoria.
and then it becomes like, yo, the fact that bro said he could take 7 Percocets in his mind, if that's what actually happened,
Yeah.
it's crazy to me. You know, that be the equivalent of me telling you, bro, I'm gonna go get a 5th of Patronus to me. Just by myself.
By myself.
That's me.
Which people do
It's me.
every day.
It's me.
And I
then
got
I'ma
we
buy
got
you
friends
a
that do
fifth,
it.
And I'll buy you a 5th, and then we're gonna go out to the bar.
Every day.
And I'm like, no, I might die before this is over. Like, bro, like,
that's
nah, like, nah, like, and in this lifestyle, that's what it is. And I
Yeah.
think, the idea that social media makes everything so accessible, I can only imagine what it would have been if I was able to actually show people what goes on. And so I think part of what this episode is for me and thinking about that is like, yo, all right, like, where does it stop? My homie Eddie, I don't know if you know Eddie Sanders.
Yeah.
Right.
I know, yeah.
I might bring him. He's probably going to be on.
He need to be. He been asking.
Yeah, he's
Run
gonna
into him,
come
he
on.
been
He's
asking.
gonna come. Eddie said he's a great entertainment lawyer. He's like so anti-suit, but he's like, you know what I'm saying? He's definitely one of the most, like astute people that I know in terms of thinking about like law and thinking about entertainment. And he was just like, yo, like, at what point do we, what I'm saying, like, become OGs and step in and intervene?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I really didn't have an answer for him because I was like, yo, I don't really know if we can intervene because all the shorties that I talk to, they don't really want to hear it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Is it kind of a thing where you get to meet
whether
working
you
at a
cool
bouncer-
or not, like, you
working on the
cool
bouncer
dude, you
side
cool
and
knowledge,
working shows,
you
it's like,
cool, but you old knowledge. You ain't from what we on.
So
You know what I'm
you come out the
saying?
venues and record labels who put all this stuff out there and have all these people that's around them.
And
It's like
benefit
it has to be
from
like a
this
systemic
shit,
issue with
right?
this. You outside of him taking the drugs and what happened, like do we like include like other things involved, like venues, record labels, hangers on, like random niggas that's being at shows, like who do we?
And
Like
it's co-signed. I don't know. It's like the new, what was a friend of mine told me about this idea of the Jim Code. You know what I'm saying? Of like the internet is kind of like trapping our youth in a certain way, and the algorithm is only spitting at them, their view of the world. It's one of those things like we talk about digital tools about being able to like expose us to more.
Right.
But what's really happening is they're just being exposed to more of the bullshit that they around every day.
Brands are
Right.
paying
So
them to
if
expose
you
them to.
are exposed to lean and my niggas is smoking blunts
Right.
and whatever, your Instagram feed is that.
It's almost like hypnotic, like
You know what I'm
like you're in a
saying?
trance.
Like your Instagram feed is bullshit all day. I mean, granted, I follow a lot of people, but the algorithm seems to only tell me when my friends are in the club.
Yeah.
Seems to only tell me when my friends is on bullshit. Now it's holiday parties right now.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm at a holiday party, we lit.
Interesting.
Girls just posted bathroom photos.
Yep.
But I don't know shit about when you doing this nonprofit work.
Right.
I don't know shit about.
And then you go to that person's page, and you're like, when did they post this?
You can look, man. It is
crazy.
interesting.
Children and all that shit.
I
I don't see
post-
that.
Hundreds of pictures, right? I
Not to
posted.
get too.
No, I mean, but and you know it. And the thing for me with that top 9 that just came out, right? Which
Oh yeah.
is just collecting collecting all of our email addresses so they can build a massive email list. That's a whole nother topic.
Leave it to the data guy. He knows.
You know,
He knows.
the two things that like the two art pieces, and then me at a party are my top 3 pictures.
Man.
Now, all of the ones with the kids and the youth and the kids winning awards and all them other thousands of pictures, nothing.
It ain't it.
Nothing. And then now I've tried to figure it out. And then it's interesting because Instagram is so much different. I post the same thing on LinkedIn. I get 20,000 views on LinkedIn for one of those pieces of pictures of the kids. 20,000. People emailing me, can you come speak? Can we get you here? On Instagram, 63 likes. Like literally. And so I think there is, you have to really start to think about what they're being paid to push our way. Like I'm looking at stuff, I'm in my feed, I'm like, I don't do that. Why am I seeing that? Why am I getting presented this? Then I'm like, well, maybe it's trying to change what I'm thinking, to alter, to make me change my buying habits or my decision-making process. Or
Stuff's the trip. Like
it's crazy.
You look online for something, like on Amazon, and then you go to Facebook, you see it in the scroll. You're like, dang, you're like, what the?
Oh, it's so quick.
And now you don't even have to look at it online. You can just be in the store buying something, and then Facebook knows that you bought that.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's crazy. That's crazy to me.
I've been looking at this is completely off topic, but I've been looking at like companies that do invitations for weddings and shit. And I'm talking about literally, I'm on Twitter, invitation ads.
Invitation.
Like you can get this for the low, da da da. They you know, I'm sure
Man.
my browsing history is like low key just off the chain. They selling it. You know what I mean? Because I'm getting Chelsea boots. Now,
Right.
I think I tested you like, yo, I need some Chelsea boots.
And they showing up. They showing up in your feed.
Yeah, like, oh, did you know that it's 30% off of J. Crew?
Right. But you're a grown up. We grown ups. We know what that is. We're able to decipher it.
Yeah.
Our kids don't.
Yeah.
So our kids that are looking at, you know, whoever do whatever XYZ, and then the exotic pop ad is showing up in their phone. They're not able. They don't know.
That shit blew my.
And wait till weed is legal in 9 days.
Pop?
And what pops up in our threads? Just wait.
This kid's making $1 million off selling pop.
Pop
He was telling me, he's like, oh man, the Canada Dry Cream Soda
is
that's
great.
exclusive. Like they don't sell that. You know, they got a blue version of Fanta that when you pour the codeine in it, it turns this color. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Where are we at?
What in the Bill Nye the Science
And
Guy?
I feel like you mentioned the whole old fart situation, right? Like I'm like, yo, I am becoming my dad. Where I'm like,
Yo, it's like that
back
progressive
in my
commercial.
day, we
Crazy
just
that happens. Like,
really-
I'm not gonna be
Is
that guy.
that
Be that guy.
What annoyed us? Like, we really
Like what the fuck?
Yo,
You
We
can't
shouldn't
just
go be fighting.
the fuck. You pay a bum. You pay a bum to get your Remy. You tip them $10.
Yeah.
You go to the studio.
That's
You know what
it.
I'm saying? And that's what we was on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like for empteen summers, that's what the studio was to me. You know, fam is like, oh, let's all put in on a dime. Let's all put in on a goddamn
$1 each.
Swisher. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you know, this shit is expensive.
Yeah.
Where they getting the money for this shit, bro? Like,
Just imagine, I'll be around them all the time.
how much is a Percocet on the street?
$10
What is
a
street
minute,
value?
Depending
You know
on,
what I'm saying?
depending
Like,
on the MG or whatever.
Right.
my
You
man,
know, $10 the most, or you get a deal, man. He give you
Saw
$5
buck,
for the dude.
saw buck every time.
We go in on that, and then, you know, man, my boy got the dude, swap the bag. I'm like, man, y'all just stop talking about that at my car. You know what I'm saying?
not in this
I
car.
be doing, I be doing,
Like-
I be having a funny way.
Like I'm
of
cool,
doing it.
but
Because, yeah,
Maybe that's
like, you know,
all
I got
that.
a funny way, I got a funny way of doing it. Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm not dealing with no, you know, no wannabes.
Right.
I'm really dealing with the
guy.
trash.
You with the
guys.
guys.
Yeah, the
They
guys.
the real
They
guy.
either traumatized or they done seen something.
Something.
They got the stuff. They talk about the stuff.
So is this PTSD? Is that what we seeing? Is that what this is? Is a product of PTSD, or is it just fun? Is it fun? Is it?
It's both. I say
Yeah.
it's
a little
both.
mix?
Our community are intensely
Some of us
divested.
don't have no way of dealing with or knowing that it's you know it's the PTSD. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because these are things that you can get really chemically addicted to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the other part.
Yeah, that's it.
It is a physiological effect on your body. It has an effect. It is. Drugs have a terminal half-life that stay in your system a certain amount of hours. And so, like, there's that part that we, I don't know if we've addressed well. So.
Oh, you good? You good, Gucci? You Gucci? That's wifey?
Wifey on the heels.
Man, I already know how that go. I got wifey in my She just happened to drop me off on my heels today.
Bro, I came here, straight from work. I had to, I usually have supervision for, all the things that I've done throughout the week with my bosses and stuff on Mondays. But since it's the holidays, they trying to get
got a week off.
You know what I'm saying? They got to try to get the stuff done. So I did what I would do on a Monday today.
Oh, wow.
And Sundays is usually my wife's day.
Family time.
Not even family time. Like to go do whatever she want to do. I'm the man with the kids. And, because Saturdays I be at the studio. You know
Daddy
what I'm saying?
daycare.
So
Daddy daycare.
I got to try to balance out all of these things. You know what I'm saying? And, she hit my line. She only on me crazy.
But that's one of the dope things.
I told her I'll be home at a certain time. And I squeezed it in. I'm like, I got supervision at 3 o'clock. I already had supervision.
She like, you still a supervision?
So, that's how real it is.
Go defend the supervision. That's what we call it. But
we in supervision right now.
But in real life, though, like that, these things that you're balancing, that you're juggling, I think I tweeted it one time. It didn't have necessarily to do with you, specifically, but I was like, yo, we do things every day, and then we chase a passion, right? I feel like I came into the hip-hop space from a standpoint of luck and, a lot of good fortune. Because, I'm in college, I met my entertainment lawyer, I met my managers, and they were like, yo, you're in college. I went to college thinking I'm going to become a doctor. And they were like, nah, you're going to be a rapper. You dope as fuck. I'm going to manage you and monetize you. And I was like, word? All right. You know what I'm saying? I get a deal 22 years old when I got my deal. I never, ever, and this is one of the things I tweeted. I was like, yo, Vic would be with his kids, be with his wife, he'd be doing whatever. I'm going to the studio. I'm going to work 9 to 5. I'm still going to the studio. I don't know what that's like. I'm struggling with that now that I have a 9 to 5. Is that, I'm trying to figure out how to, this is completely off topic, but how to, manage what I want to do artistically. You know what I'm saying? Whereas this brother always was 24/7 hip-hop. Still doing what he was doing, would always be in the studio. This man puts out 10 albums a year. You know what I'm saying? And still somehow is able to interact with youth every day. And so I'm like, yo, how do you build that type of energy? And so that was one of the things that, for me, I remember tweeting that shit. I was like, yo, these are the real MVPs. People that are able to still chase, you know what I'm saying, their passion, still be able to connect outside of what the guidelines are. Because you have guidelines that say, hey, you have to deal with you. Yeah. But you give them motherfuckers some energy, bro. And I know you do. I see your story. I see the Instagram. I see your Facebook. And so I was like, yo, in the midst of that, how is it that, this whole opioid thing has become, rampant, and I know you are on the front lines for that, and I was like, yo, this thing is really cool for these youth, and you are in a unique position in that you're formal, but you're also informal. And how do we start a larger conversation amongst these youth of how we can fix that? In terms of them just realizing, hey, moderation is key. Yeah. And, yo, this shit could really kill you. It's not just fun and games. How do we bring that into focus?
I would like to see, because we only a certain level
Yeah.
of help or assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And my program that I work for, youth advocate programs, is not
Mm-hmm.
forever. You know what I'm saying? We in these kids' lives from 6 months to a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's you damn near in a force to kind of like hurry up and get, expose them to as much as they can,
Yeah.
much as you can.
Yeah.
And time flies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I come in initially, with open arms and everything, and they grab on, now is the time to tell them, I'm not gonna be here forever. They get to seeing like some of my kids are in alternative schools. They got basketball games, and the school that they're in, they're 5-0 now. Like they running it right now. You know what I'm saying? So I was in the car with them, and I'm like, y'all killing, y'all making moves, y'all this was what y'all supposed to be doing. One of them says, Vic, when you at the game, you rouse me, you get me going. The way you charge, you get me charged. You charge me up, get charged. I be wanting to snap, go crazy on the court. Like
that energy.
Man, if we, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that if they had like a broader, a bigger level of people, like we only like a certain, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We doing it, we organic with it.
Right.
We from the streets, we organic with it. We gonna get it, but we are selling. You know what I'm saying? It's if we like all of these why Sprite don't come down and hire some of these kids?
Right.
That's a whole different vibe.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a whole different thing.
Like I think it's money, like you know what I'm saying? Like if we can give opportunity, then it takes away some of these frivolous and outlandish plans and parties and stuff like that. Because if they got a mentality to get some money, and they getting it the legitimate way, man, it'll change some lives. And then it expose leadership. You start seeing stuff in these kids that you never. Like, I ain't know that them kids was that hungry to hoop like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Take them to the Croc Center where they can hoop all day.
Yeah.
And you can just sit back and watch. And then, Vic, I'm tired, man. And these are the kids that's got the guns, got the opium, got the lean, got the connect on who to get it the cheapest, everything, talking about it.
Right.
If they active in something that they're that they could potentially grasp on,
Latch on to.
and potentially lead someone else, because you're not gonna be just a link.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be here for a while. You know what I'm saying? That's for anybody. But I'm just speaking for the program, but that's for anybody. Like man, mentors and advocacy work. You know what I'm saying? These kids grow on and become better, or they become worse, and the fact still remain. He was only here for that time.
That's real. What are some of your? I mean, obviously we have tales of things that didn't work out the right way, but there's some situations where you saw somebody flourish up out of it that would be worthwhile in terms of sharing with us, that you kind of can hang your hat on and say like, yo, I did some word. Save money Fresco.
Now, out of all of the Save Money guys,
he definitely he's your guy. For sure.
He actually, like, I took all of those guys' student IDs, Chance, Vic, all of those guys, even the street Save Money guys, all of their IDs, and tried to put them in my program. And Fresco's was the only one that came up because he was tardy for his first period. He went to Simeon. He was tardy for first period for a whole semester, and he wasn't graduating. So my objective was to, get on his ass about that. So when he got in the program, I'm like, yo, you in the program. You know what I'm saying? Went and talked to his mom, and his mom got close to me because of the program, because of my job. Like, you know what I'm saying? His mom got real close to me because of that, because she seen me on his ass. I was on his ass. You got an alarm clock? No, I ain't got an alarm clock. You gonna use that phone. And, you know what I'm saying? And he had a thing with ditching after lunch. Yeah. So what I would do is go through his lunch period, go to Simeon, and go sit down with him with his lunch feed and crack jokes like I was there, like I blended right in. You know? And I would walk him to his next class, and I would talk to his teacher almost every day, and he started doing it on his own after a while. Man, I'm tired. It's either I'm tired of this nigga Vic coming up here, or
You created the habit.
it's a it created a habit, or and I was drilling his head like, dude, if you don't do this, you don't graduate.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you don't fulfill what your mom wants you to do anyway, which is this is your only responsibility anyway.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Get out of high school.
That shit
your
real.
mom's
That's
only
so
responsibility.
That's so real.
And when he graduated, man, you know how many times Fresco moms, you need to manage him. You see what you did? You got him out of it wasn't me. You wasn't listening to me. You came in and she would hit me with that all of the time. All the time.
Crazy.
So he is the guy that could kind of tell you how I took him under my wing. Like, I really took him under my wing. Like, he's the only one out of all of them, you know what I'm saying, that I really
needed that.
Yeah,
Probably
and
needed
I
that.
feel like I needed him too.
Wow.
Because, like at one time, I was going like, man, I'm on the clock because I'm with him. So
Yeah.
we're gonna go pick up your homies too. That's how I got close with everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And I got pulled over. Fresco don't have a license, nothing.
Yeah.
I gets pulled over. It's a warrant out for my arrest.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know what for, no reason, nothing. I've done nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I get arrested. I go to the station. Fresco has to drive my car. Like, he don't have a license, nothing. He's still in high school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he said, man, Vic, I drove the car to the crib. You know what I'm saying? Parked it, parked it and everything, man. I still got your weed that you had. And, you know what I'm saying? I ain't know it was done in there, but I got you. I took care of you. You know what I'm saying? So he was able to get in contact with my brother. He stepped in.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't no damn job. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit like that. He could have been like, man, what the fuck I'm gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Could have panicked. You know what I'm saying? Because it happened out of the blue. I just got pulled over. Hey, it's a warrant for your arrest. We got to take you in.
You out. What? Yeah.
You got to drive this car. What the fuck? That's 48 hours in the jail. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And if Fresco wasn't there, somebody else could have stole my shit.
Mhm.
So in a sense, I needed him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Man, shout out to Save Money though, for real. Because I know like you intimately had like people don't talk about this. You don't talk about this, but like you had a very integral role in like kind of bringing them to light. Not even just Fresco, but like just in general. Like
I gave him opportunity. I'll say that.
Your interest. I won't even say your interest, but your space in working with youth has always put you around talented individuals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's always put you in a place where you were able to provide resources for those individuals, even when they didn't even know what those resources were going to mean.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, I think even in bringing this conversation full circle, part of what you've been able to illuminate for me is just like the idea that we need to provide more resources to our youth to distract them from some of the bullshit that's out here. And find ways in order to, you know, give them something that they can be obsessed with that's productive rather than destructive. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, all right, if you're in a scenario where every day we're doing something destructive, then that's your mindset. And you don't even, at a certain point, I guess you don't even realize it's destructive. You're just like, this is my everyday existence, and this is just what we do. You know, so I think it's just dope to hear those stories, though. You know what I'm saying? Because I met Fresco, and I didn't know how deeply you were involved with his development and shit like that. But like that's like super dope to hear. You know, not to be like super on a downer, but I'm like, yo, like I think it is great that you're able to go in the trenches and pull people up out of that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's something that, you know, I think everybody on this stage at this point right now is doing has done. You know, I know Ev has done work. I know your 9 to 5 is literally wrapped around developing youth to go to college. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what you do. Mario working where he works. I'm not gonna, whatever. No, I'm not gonna put on blast. But you guys sponsor a lot of initiatives that help
with financial
youth
literacy,
get to where they
especially.
need to go. And but it's just like word, like it just seems like at every turn there's and obviously I've had the Brainiac Project for a minute, and I've also done work with several different organizations, but like it's getting to the point where what's up against us is like
We need help. We need help.
it's
We're leaders, but we need help. Too.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's a whole nother. I mean, I think you hit it, Vic. I posted the other day. Actually, last night I was talking about having to create space and boundaries for us to allow ourselves to be replenished. Because when you're giving all the time, you can end up very empty too. Especially with some of the young people we work with, where you have to give more. You have to almost give all of yourself to save them. And then you look up and you're like, man, I need to create space. And I was saying, I said, no is a complete sentence. And the thing that I've had to learn this year, moving into 2020, is that I have to say no more to certain things. I can't be everywhere. I am getting older. I'm slowing down as much as I hate to say it. I'm almost 40. Yeah. And so now, so that I can be effective in those moments like you had with the frescoes of my mentees like Khalil and Nehemiah, my young guys, where I'm like, I can't miss. I can't be off with you. Because if I'm off with you, that may be a bigger miss than. So yeah, I'm gonna have to slow down on some of the other things, or find more help. We got to pull more brothers and sisters into the mix that's kind of sitting on the sidelines. And I get it, it's no knock to them. A lot of folks just don't know what to do. They don't know how. They didn't see it themselves, and they're like, but I think you said it earlier. Meet somebody where they are, man. It's real easy to say, hey, I do it all the time. I walk up to shorties anywhere and be like, what y'all up to, man? They look at me crazy at first. I'm like, nah, for real, what y'all like? What y'all like to do? Oh, cool. Y'all like music? I know about this program, 2112. They help you with your music. Y'all want to get music done. Yeah. Oh, y'all trying to hoop? My guy got a gym. He going to open it up for you. He a principal. I'll make sure the gym's open. Yeah. Just very simple things. And then you got to do it. You got to follow through. Then they're like, oh, this dude was legit. He was serious. I got kids on my phone now calling me for summer internship, high schoolers. I will work till I can't work no more to make sure I get jobs for all of them.
Period. Yeah.
I'm going to call everybody. I'm going to be like, Ev, I got a kid, want to write, you know.
When you execute like that, it's a given, man.
Yeah.
It's just in people. You know what I'm saying? In certain people like you know what I'm saying? Like, attack it.
Attack
it. You how you know. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And if you work with them where they at, with small things, man, it increase, man, to the highest capacity when you just put small emphasis on it. You know what I'm saying?
They say to whom much is given, much is required. To whom much more is given, much more is required.
Man.
Yeah.
Also, let as you climb.
Super heavy.
Yeah. All right.
Excuse me. We're gonna bring this back into focus. I guess we're almost at our time for this episode, but like I want to think about how we can move forward from this. Because I think like the Juice World thing is very much. I think because we incubate stars so quickly, people haven't necessarily processed how deep this would be for our city, particularly with our youth, and thinking about how they followed this guy. And I think it's I think it's something for us to think about going forward. Is just thinking about like, not necessarily looking at the opioid crisis, but just thinking about like helping youth that are around us, being good OGs per se to them, and inserting ourselves in spaces where maybe we aren't required, but it's proven to be necessary. I think that's kind of what I want everybody to leave with this conversation. Is like, obviously we started out talking about what's in the news, but like in terms of us defending the go, as we talk about, like that's something that I think we need to build on and move forward with. But before we do get out of here, I want Vic to talk about what he's doing musically, because, as I said, he's a phenomenal MC. He's putting out great projects. He's performing all over the city, and I want you to be able to plug what you're doing before we get up out of here.
I started my own label, Old Fart Luggage. And, you know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Dropped
Solid.
my first project on the label entitled Bar Wounds. And,
Yes.
you know,
Spotify.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It's going.
Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, everywhere. All of the streams, all of the social medias is Vic Spencer. I think you Google Vic Spencer, you get like the first 150 pages of all. It's fairly out there.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's dope.
And I want to say, like, man, at once upon a time, like, Naledge was the guy that put me in the game, put me on. Like, I always was doing music, but Naledge gave me that platform. You know what I'm saying, to get my music at a level that I didn't have it before. And, we talk about, getting kids to that same kind of level and potential, then you see what happens, you know what I'm saying? Because, a lot of times I've been right off, blackballed through the whole thing, you know what I'm saying, and been discouraged from many of these outlets and stuff like that, and rebelled from the scene and stuff like that, and speaking about it, and then, like, I definitely is like give my heart to the kids and all of that, but I'm also very candid and very villainy and very, you know what I'm saying, got those group home mentalities still in me, you know what I'm saying, till this day. And, I kind of use that stuff in my music. And my music, like, I just I say some crazy stuff on Twitter down there. Got me in trouble, you know what I'm saying, and burn some bridges and all of that kind of stuff. But it's all because, of how I got love and passion for what I do in the music. And, I could have been discouraged like a lot of people and kind of just gave up on it. And, it's been plenty of, like, even with the Mick Jenkins situation, I was supposed to have been dead, done. It just goes to tell you, like, when you in it, you in it. You know what I'm saying? And if you still here, it's gonna show. That's all of the time. You know what I'm saying? And that's all when people listen to my music, that's what they get. You know what I'm saying? They get what you see is what you get. You know what I'm saying? And that's the basics of Vic Spencer, man. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Bet it up.
Bet.
Bet it up.
Sure.
Well, we gonna close out this episode of the Go Defenders. You know what I'm saying? Happy holidays to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Christmas is around the corner. I'm not gonna date this episode, but I'm gonna date this episode. And you know what I mean? And we wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And we're gonna get up out of here, and we're gonna see y'all on the next go round.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.